Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Okay, are you ready for a deep dive into something totally unexpected? You guys send in some articles about the Venom movies. And I'll be honest, at first glance,
Yeah.
not really my usual thing, but the way fans have latched onto these films, especially queer fans, that is fascinating.
Yeah, it's really captivating how fan interpretations can actually end up influencing a film's direction.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we usually see studios ignoring or even pushing back against these fan interpretations, especially when it comes to LGBTQ plus representation.
Right.
So Venom is like a fascinating anomaly in that way.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, for anyone who hasn't seen it, Venom is about Eddie Brock. He's
Yeah.
a journalist who gets bonded with this alien symbiote, which gives him superpowers,
Hmm.
but also this, like, very chatty other voice in his head.
Yeah, like a roommate you can't get rid of.
Right, exactly. The article mentions that the first film, the 2018 one, wasn't exactly a masterpiece. I mean, it was a box office smash,
Yeah.
but the critics weren't exactly thrilled. But online, that's where things got interesting.
Precisely. Fans, especially on Tumblr and Twitter, they like latched on to the Eddie Venom relationship, and they became like a hugely popular ship.
Me meaning,
Fans wanted them to be romantically involved.
hold up, shipping an alien parasite and a human? It's pretty niche, isn't it?
On the surface, sure. But the article quotes fans saying that the films explore themes of like codependency, dual identities, and finding your true self. And these themes resonate really deeply, especially within the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like seeing yourself reflected in a narrative, even one as wild as Venom.
Right.
It can be really powerful.
Okay, so we've got fans creating art writing, fan fiction, basically building this whole subtextual queer narrative around Venom. But what's really amazing is that the studio actually noticed. I mean, most studios would just shut that down.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But with Venom, they leaned in hard. Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the 2021 one. The director straight up called one scene Venom's coming out party.
Okay, now I got to hear about this. What happens in this scene?
So Eddie and Venom, they have this massive fight. Venom feels misunderstood, and he bolts from Eddie's body. He ends up at a rave.
Oh, raves.
A rave. Now think about the visuals. Pulsating lights, a crowd of people dancing and expressing themselves freely. Venom's moving through the crowd, just taking it all in.
Wow.
The director was not being subtle at all.
Yeah, no kidding.
This scene, visually, it represents finding your people, finding your chosen family, embracing who you are, finding your own kind of liberation.
Wow, that's actually quite profound when you break it down like that. And the article mentions the third film, Venom, The Last Dance. Even the title sounds like some kind of romantic climax, so clearly the studio doubled down even harder on those fan theories, right?
Absolutely. There's a scene with Venom dancing to Dancing Queen by ABBA.
Yeah.
Yup, they even reference Thelma and Louise. And get this, the marketing included a Pride Month trailer. They're not just acknowledging the fans, they're weaving this interpretation into the very fabric of the film.
So from box office success to full-blown queer icon, the article argues that Venom might have actually flopped without this passionate queer fan base. They saved the franchise.
And in return, the filmmakers have given them representation that feels genuine, even in this wild, over-the-top superhero world. It's a fascinating example of the power of fandom and how it can lead to more inclusive storytelling.
It really is. And it's so cool to see.
Yeah.
Fan power. We love to see it. So how about we take a quick break, and we'll be right back to continue unpacking this whole Venom phenomenon. Don't go anywhere.
I mean, it really is a remarkable shift when you think about it, Traditionally, studios have been so hesitant to embrace any kind of queer interpretation of their character.
Especially in these, like, big-budget superhero franchises.
Exactly. They want to play it safe. They don't want to alienate any part of the audience. But with Venom, they seem to understand that acknowledging and even celebrating these fan interpretations, it could actually, enhance the films. It's like they realized that embracing those passionate fans could actually lead to something really special.
Yeah, it's like they said, hey, this is what the fans want, and it actually makes the story more interesting and more complex.
Right.
And look, the fans responded.
They did.
They showed up.
They showed up in droves.
Big time.
And it also helps the film stand out in such a crowded market, The superhero genre can feel really formulaic sometimes. But Venom managed to find a unique voice by tapping into this very specific and very passionate fan base.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a win-win for everybody, right? The fans feel seen and represented, and the studio gets a dedicated and enthusiastic audience.
Exactly.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. And it opens up the conversation about representation in a broader sense.
Yeah.
Venom shows that queer stories can exist in all kinds of genres,
Right.
even in the most unexpected places.
Right. Okay, but let's talk about the fans for a second. The article mentions that there's just tons of fan-created content out there, particularly focusing on this Eddie Venom relationship. Like, we're talking art, fan fiction, the whole works. You mentioned earlier that this kind of fan interpretation can actually, like, influence the direction of a film.
Yeah.
But how does that actually happen?
Well, think about the sheer volume of fan-created content surrounding these Venom movies. We're talking about thousands of fan-written stories and countless pieces of art dedicated to this specific pairing.
Wow, that's dedication.
Right. And it's not just about, like, shipping these two characters together. It's
yeah.
about exploring the complexities of their relationship, their struggles, their vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just Eddie and Venom as a couple.
Right.
And delves into, like, their dynamic, their struggles, and how they complement each other.
So it sounds like the fans have really delved into, like, the emotional core of these characters and created narratives that are both entertaining but also thought-provoking.
Absolutely. And the filmmakers have clearly been paying attention to this fan engagement. They haven't just acknowledged it. They've actually incorporated elements of it into the films themselves.
Yeah.
Think about, like, those visual cues in the rave scene that we talked about.
Right.
Those probably came from fan interpretations of these characters.
It's like a collaborative process in a way, with the fans and the filmmakers feeding off of each other's creativity.
Exactly. And it's resulted in something truly unique. Venom has become this unlikely queer icon, a symbol of unconventional love and self-acceptance.
It's a testament to the power of fandom and, like, its ability to shape the narratives that we consume and celebrate.
You know, when you contrast Venom with other superhero franchises that have been accused of queer baiting,
Yeah.
it's a breath of fresh air.
You're talking about that thing where, like, a film kind of hints at a queer relationship but then never actually delivers on it?
Exactly. Queer baiting plays on the hopes and desires of marginalized groups without offering any real substance. Venom, on the other hand, has actually delivered on the subtext, which is why it has resonated so strongly with queer fans.
Yeah, it's a great example of how to do representation, right? Even in a genre that's not typically known for its diversity. Okay, but let's be real for a second. We've talked a lot about the queer subtext and all these fan interpretations, but what about the films themselves? Are they actually any good?
Well, that's always subjective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Critically, the Venom movies haven't exactly been praised for their depth or originality.
Yeah, the first one got pretty mixed reviews.
It did. But the article argues that the film's campiness and over-the-top nature are actually part of their appeal.
Yeah, it's like they're not afraid to just embrace the absurdity of this whole premise. You know, an alien symbiote. Sure, why not? Let's just have some fun with it.
Exactly. And that sense of fun and self-awareness is what makes them so enjoyable, even if they're not winning any Oscars.
Right. It's about letting go of expectations and just having a good time.
And as the article perfectly puts it, queer cinema is rife with so much so bad that it's good stuff. Sometimes the most entertaining films are the ones that don't take themselves too seriously.
So true. So true. Okay, but it's not all just mindless entertainment, though, right?
Yeah.
The article also suggests that Venom has a surprising amount of heart.
Oh, it does. At its core, this story is about two very different beings who find connection and acceptance in each other.
Yeah.
It's about overcoming loneliness and learning to embrace your true self, even if that self is a little bit messy or unconventional.
Yeah. It's a message that, like, anyone can relate to, regardless of their identity.
Absolutely. And it's a message that resonates especially strongly with those who have felt marginalized or misunderstood. Venom shows us that even the most unlikely of pairings can find love and acceptance, and that sometimes the greatest strength comes from embracing our differences.
And that's a powerful message for anyone, really. You know,
Yeah.
You're struggling with your identity. You're feeling like an outsider. Venom gets it.
Now, here's something else to consider. The article also highlights how Venom has tapped into this deeper emotional need within the fandom.
Okay.
It's not just about the romance. It's about the themes of identity and codependency.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Many fans actually see Eddie and Venom's relationship as a metaphor for internal struggles, particularly those related to mental health.
Hold on. How so?
Well, think about Eddie's constant battle with this other voice in his head,
Right.
this darker impulse that he's trying to control.
Right.
It's a struggle that many people can relate to, especially those who deal with anxiety, depression, or other mental health challenges.
That's a really insightful observation. It's like Venom represents the parts of ourselves that we fear or that we try to suppress.
Exactly. And the way that Eddie learns to coexist with Venom, to negotiate and even embrace those darker impulses,
Right.
It can be seen as a metaphor for self-acceptance and healing.
Yeah. It's a reminder that we all have different facets to our personalities, and the true strength lies in accepting all parts of ourselves, even the ones that might seem scary or unwanted.
And it's through that acceptance that Eddie and Venom actually become a true team, a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
Their relationship becomes a source of strength rather than conflict.
That's a powerful message for anyone who struggles with their mental health.
Yeah.
You know, it's about recognizing those difficult parts of yourself and learning to work with them.
The article even quotes a fan who describes Venom as a film about healing the most broken parts of yourself together.
Wow.
It's a beautiful sentiment, and it speaks to the emotional depth that these films have unexpectedly tapped into.
It's really amazing how a superhero movie about an alien symbiote can spark such profound conversations about identity, self-acceptance, and mental health.
He really goes to show that the most meaningful stories are often the ones we least expect.
It's a reminder to be open to different interpretations, to celebrate the power of fandom, and to appreciate the unexpected ways in which stories can resonate with us.
And ultimately, Venom has become a testament to the idea that great storytelling can come from the most unexpected places.
You know, it's funny, when you think about superhero movies, you usually think of like these big battles, saving the world, all that stuff.
Right.
But with Venom, there's this whole other layer, this emotional depth that we've been talking about.
And that's precisely why it's resonated so deeply with fans, particularly those within the LGBTQ+ community. Those themes of self-acceptance, finding your place, battling inner demons,
Yeah.
those are universal experiences, but they often hit home even harder for people who've faced marginalization.
So it's like more than just a fun superhero flick. It's actually tapping into something much deeper.
Exactly. And the article brings up this really fascinating point about how queer cinema has historically embraced camp and humor
Okay.
as a way of dealing with these difficult themes.
Like finding the funny side of struggle.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Think about like classic films like the Rocky Horror Picture Show or Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. They tackle these serious issues like prejudice and identity, but they do it with a wink and a smile.
And Venom kind of fits into that tradition.
Absolutely. It's not afraid to be over the top, to embrace the absurdity of a man bonding with an alien symbiote.
Right.
And that allows it to explore these deeper themes without becoming too heavy-handed.
So it's entertaining and thought-provoking at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a delicious multi-layered cake.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And speaking of layers, the article also touches on the idea of Venom as like a commentary on toxic masculinity.
Okay, now that's interesting. How so?
Well, think about traditional superhero tropes. You have the lone wolf hero, the stoic strongman, the one who represses his emotions and always goes it alone.
Right, yeah. We've seen that a million times.
Exactly, but Eddie Brock, he's a mess. He's vulnerable, he's insecure, and he needs help.
Right.
He literally can't function without Venom.
And that's where the subversion of those traditional masculine tropes comes in.
Right. Venom shows us that true strength comes from vulnerability, from connection, from embracing those parts of ourselves that society often tells men to hide.
So it's not just about queer representation, but also about challenging gender norms in a broader sense.
And that's what makes it so groundbreaking. It's taking these established superhero tropes and turning them on their head. And in doing so, it's opening up a space for more nuanced and complex portrayals of masculinity.
Wow. Who knew Venom was such a goldmine for discussion? Started as a superhero flick, ended up exploring identity fandom and challenging societal norms. Makes you think twice about judging a book, or in this case, a movie, by its cover, right?
Absolutely. This deep dive really highlights how sometimes the most unexpected stories can resonate the most deeply. It reminds us to be open to different interpretations and to celebrate the power of passionate fans.
Yeah.
They can truly shape the narrative.
That's right, they can. And hey, maybe you see it totally differently. Let us know. Leave a comment below. Tell us about your favorite example of fandom changing a movie or TV show. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into unexpected corners of pop culture. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.